we're going to start off by removing a lot of these plastic portions right here. So you're going to have this entire molding that you're going to be taking off so we can get to this. There's going to be one here, here, the 4 here, and then one right here. And the way you remove those is you can take a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, kind of push up under this portion to pry it up. You're gonna have to work that out. And what I like to do is I eventually end up breaking all of these. So make sure you end up purchasing another bag because you'll inevitably mess up. What we're going to do is we're going to remove these two right here, and then we're going to pull up and remove this air portion that leads all the way down here as well, under here to get to the starter. So we're going to remove this portion, we're going to remove the cover, then we're going to remove this portion out. The starter is under the intake manifold, which is right around that direction. Once you remove these two portions, you can unsnap part of the plastic portions around the outer edge, and then you're going to loosen up both of these right here. And my car had a colored notch in there, so that just tells you how far they ended up tightening it. So this is a 10 millimeter socket. So we're going to remove both of those, and then we're going to loosen that up here in a second. I'll show you next. So we're going to remove both of these. These are 10 millimeters on here, and these are just covers. And when you remove these, just remember there's going to be a post right here that this cover comes up on. So you see the post that mates with this portion out. So we're going to do a couple things to prep. I've done a little bit of the legwork on here. Once you remove this from the large plastic portion, you're going to remove this coolant line that leads up here as well. Some people leave it on here. My goal is to kind of take this out and clean it. It's a little bit dirty on the inside, but I'm going to take these 4 bolts out. But I ended up taking a pair of pliers, pulling this down and removing it, and just be careful. You may want to plug it out so it doesn't spill everywhere. I'm going to remove this one. There's going to be 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to remove from here, and then a mount on this side as well. So once we take the cabling out from here, you notice there's going to be a connector here, and then there's also a connector that I removed ahead of time. So the way you remove this connector is there's going to be a notch on this other side right here that you're going to hit with a flathead screwdriver. And if you're having issues with removing it, what you can do is you can press the portion down right here and put a flathead on this side. So the goal is to kind of remove this next so that we can get to these next 4 bolts, or apologize, 5 bolts. So there's going to be 1 bolt here, 1 bolt here, 1 bolt here, I believe 2 below. I also removed this as well, so once we remove this, it'll make it a little bit easier to get. So you're going to remove these nuts with a 12 millimeter socket, and it may take a little bit of work, but those are just nuts, and this one right here is going to be an actual bolt that's going to come out. We're going to hunt for the bottom ones next. That last bolt is on the very bottom over there, so if you have a hard time finding your bolts, there's going to be 2 bolts or nuts right here, and then 3 nuts 1, 2, 3 right there. After we remove that bottom bolt, we're going to remove these two lines from these two connectors right here, and then clear out your workspace and make sure that you have these two portions taken off. Unfortunately, one of them broke for me. And then the wire harnessing, make sure that you have all of your harnesses out. I went ahead and removed this from earlier. Then as you remove this, just be sure that this cable right here is going to be connected out. So as you see, we're going to remove that here in a second. So right here, we're going to remove this hose right here. You may have to take a flathead screwdriver to push that out. Here's a clear view of your starter. So you're going to have two bolts, one right here, I believe that's a 17, and kind of an elongated bolt right back here, right there, that you're going to be taking off. Once you push the clip out here, you can remove this electrical connection. And then once you pull that back, you're going to take that bolt off of there to remove the power off of that. So with your starter, there's going to be two portions you're going to take off of here with your connector. You're going to be pushing with a flathead screwdriver right there, and then once you pull back the boot right here, you're going to see the nut that's going to be placed in there. So we'll probably go from the top to remove that, and then to remove the starter, there's going to be kind of two bolts, one right here, and then that long bolt that extends out behind this connector. We're going to be removing those two bolts out to remove the starter, and then you're going to have to remove this clip, and then I'm probably going to remove this just to remove this electrical cabling out that goes to the battery. Reinstallation is really easy, so we're going to match up the parts, make sure they match up, and you're going to go step by step, install the starter, and then reinstall the intake manifold and work backwards. Make sure you connect up all your hoses and make sure that you get all the connections in, and it's a pretty straightforward install. Best of luck.